right, I have the Vandoren. Actually, in that box, that is my T45. I like this so much, I got another one. This is the T55, but it comes in a box like this. It does not come with a ligature. It does not come with a cap. It does not come with a bag. This is the Jody Jazz Superjet. It comes with a ligature that I don't like. It comes with a cap, which is awesome. And it comes with a purple little Crown Royal type bag, which is really, really nice. Alright, as you can see, I have my own mouthpiece saver on both of these mouthpieces, because obviously I've been playing these for a while. Normally when I do a heads-up comparison, I don't talk at all. I just play the mouthpieces in different lounges, and you can get an idea of what it sounds like, but I don't have access to those areas. So I just found the best place that I could record it in, and I'm going to do that play test for these two mouthpieces there. So this one, the Jody Jazz, costs $400, and this one costs $140. So from France and USA. All right, let me turn these around. You can see what these look like on the inside. I've done a review on both of these mouthpieces before, but I'm just going to give you a quick overview. You can see how aggressively baffled this mouthpiece is, and it has a step baffle there. Then it has that sharp wedge thing that I talked about, where this one, on the other hand, is pretty dark. As you can see, that has also a step baffle, but that just caves way into the chamber like that. This is a small chamber mouthpiece, and I tried to find out what exactly this Jody Jazz is. I think it's a small, or it's a smallish medium chamber, but I couldn't find anything about it. So Jody Espina is really big on having thin rails, which is what this is, and I would say that this one is just a little smaller than standard, but they're still kind of thick relative to this one anyway. And if I'm being 100% honest with you, this wasn't even really a fair comparison based on what it is that I'm looking for in a mouthpiece. So maybe you're looking for something more like this at a higher price, which is $400, or maybe you're looking for something like this. I call this one the Mouth Cannon for a good reason, and I haven't come up with a nickname for this one yet. So ultimately, if you're looking to buy either one of these mouthpieces, neither one of them is perfect. I am not endorsed by either one of these companies, or any company for that matter, so I want to go over some of the negatives. And the biggest negative I have with this one is the price. For what it does and how much it costs, it's really hard for me to justify paying such a high price for something that other mouthpieces do equally well. This mouthpiece does pretty much exactly what they say it does, but you can just get into that a lot cheaper. Plus it tends to just taper off in the upper register, unlike the way this one does. So this Vandoren comes in at a much better price. However, you may have problems with how long this mouthpiece is. Some people have complained about playing flat, which I get that. I've had to push this mouthpiece in pretty far on the neck, and that can be a thing. I think it just takes time to get used to how this mouthpiece is different from other mouthpieces, because you have this freak chamber cannon thing going on here, and that can probably take you by surprise. Alright, another thing, like I said, it doesn't come with a ligature or any of the other stuff, so I'm going to do a best of the best type of comparison for both of these mouthpieces. So for this one, I'm going to use not this crappy ligature that it comes with. I'm going to use my Vandoren ligature that has the removable plates, because that is what worked out the best. And for this one, I have a Silverstein ligature, and that worked out really well for this mouthpiece. I'm also going to use the same reed, because that reed plays amazingly on both of these mouthpieces. Alright, so without any further hors d'oeuvres, let's get to some playing. I gotta fight it. It's a little bit too much work. It's capable, but there you go. Got a really nice low end thing going, but once you start going into the Altissimo, I think this freak baffle just starts to get in the way. I'm doing the best versus the best. I tried my other Silverstein ligature with the Jody Jazz, and it didn't work out so well. I'm also going to use this dark amber colored neck because it works really well with this. So T55, here we go. Radically different from one another. I feel like this T55 is just much better balanced throughout whatever I'm trying to do on the horn. Seems like the Jody Jazz just starts to taper off on the top. All right, let me play on this a little bit more. I also picked up a T45. I'm going to do a mashup review of that mouthpiece and some of the other Rico Metallics that I picked up also. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so I want to do a quick overview now of these two mouthpieces after having played them and listened back to them after I did the recording. In my opinion, this mouthpiece fails really only on price. It's $400, and ultimately what I wind up using this mouthpiece for, it competes a lot closer with my Cannonball 5J than it does this Vandoren. I mentioned that it wasn't really a fair fight, and here's the thing, this mouthpiece sounds really good in the low, mid, and kind of upper mid register, but once you start to go to the high notes, palm keys, and Altissimo, the character changes in such a way that just it makes it sound like a different thing, and I can't turn that off. It's just kind of there, and I don't want it to keep changing around like that. So I have these gigs where I have to do a lot of playing, and I like to have something that's really easy to play, and this is where I would want to use a mouthpiece like this. The problem is this costs $400, and my Cannonball 5J comes with the saxophone, so it's really hard to justify spending any kind of money on something like this for me. Now, I would definitely recommend a mouthpiece like this to someone that is looking exactly for that. So I hope I was able to put together a nice presentation of this mouthpiece and the kind of issues that you'd run into, like this ligature. For sure, just get yourself a different ligature. The Vandoren worked out really well. So let's move on to the T55. And speaking of ligatures, the Silverstein ligature with this mouthpiece made it feel like somebody took this mouthpiece and sprinkled pixie magic on it, and now I could do anything. I noticed it was a little bit hesitant before I used that ligature, but on that one and in this demo, I felt like I could just do anything with this mouthpiece. Now, here are some issues that I have with every single Vandoren mouthpiece that I have. Even my favorite, my Metal V16, I feel like Vandoren mouthpieces are very forward projecting mouthpieces, meaning you really need that sound coming back at you in order to properly monitor yourself acoustically. So if you're looking for any kind of mouthpiece that's going to give you that cut, like if you want to cut through electric guitars or cut through lead trumpets and all of that, forget it. Not with Vandoren, not with Jody Jazz. Forget it completely. Nothing is going to do that. Soon as any of those guys hear you cutting through, they're just going to play louder or they're going to turn up. And now you're worse off than when you started in the first place, because now you're out however much money you spent on a mouthpiece trying to get that cut. So generally, what's referred to as cut is really just how much sound is getting reflected back to your face. And I feel like this Superjet does that really well. It's just really good at reflecting the sound back. The Vandoren is really good at projecting the sound forward. I personally always tend to default to what's going to sound the best to the people that are listening to my playing. Now, obviously, if you are well monitored, this is not an issue at all. If you got your headset or if you got monitors or something like that, it's not an issue of any kind whatsoever. So for me, this costs $140. I could do anything with it. That's my pick. So much so, I actually picked up a T45, and I'm going to do a mashup review of that and some other mouthpieces also. So that's what I have for you. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.